Your mind is a weapon. Are you using it, or is it using you? Most people never ask this question. They go through life reacting, defending, explaining themselves to people who will never understand. They think freedom is about saying what you want. But real freedom, real power, that's when nothing and no one can touch you mentally. Not your past, not their opinion, not even your own fear. By the end of this video, you'll see why 99% of people will never be free, no matter how much they read, meditate, or journal. And you'll discover the exact framework that changes everything. Today, you're going to learn how to build that. A mind so clear, so disciplined, so strategically aware that you become untouchable, not cold, not heartless, just free. We're going to use three masters: Machiavelli, to see the game clearly; Jung, to integrate what you've been running from; and the Stoics, to discipline the mind that will carry you through it all. This isn't theory, this is architecture. By the end of this, you'll have a framework, a system, a way of thinking that changes everything. 3 steps, 3 transformations, 1 unshakable mind. Let's begin. They taught you the world is fair. Work hard, be kind, tell the truth, and good things will come. That's what they said, right? That's the first lie. And you believed it because everyone around you believed it too. Your parents, your teachers, society itself. They all told you the same story. Be good, and good things will happen. But then life happened. You worked hard and got passed over. You were kind and got taken advantage of. You told the truth and got punished for it. And suddenly, the world didn't make sense anymore. Here's what they didn't tell you. The game has always been rigged. Not by evil people, just by people who understood the rules before you did. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to teach cruelty. He wrote it to reveal reality, to show that power doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your awareness. It cares about whether you see what's actually happening or whether you're still living in the fantasy they sold you. Look around. The people who win aren't always the smartest. They're not always the hardest workers. They're not even always the most talented. But they all have one thing in common. They see the game while others are still pretending it doesn't exist. You know this already. You've seen it at work. The person who does half the work but takes all the credit. The person who plays politics while you're focused on excellence. The person who smiles in meetings and stabs people in the back afterward. You've seen it in relationships. The person who says all the right things but never follows through. The person who uses your kindness as weakness. The person who keeps you around just enough to benefit from you but never commits. You've seen it in your family. The dynamics, the patterns, the unspoken rules about who gets to speak and who has to stay silent, who gets praised and who gets blamed. And you? You got angry. You felt betrayed. You thought, how can they do this? Don't they see how wrong this is? Wrong question. The right question is, why didn't I see it coming? What pattern was I ignoring? What signs did I miss? Because here's the truth. People show you who they are constantly. You just weren't trained to see it. You were trained to give people the benefit of the doubt, to assume good intentions, to believe that everyone operates by the same moral code you do. They don't. And the moment you accept that, not with bitterness, but with clarity, everything changes. Machiavelli said, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Read that again. Everyone sees what you appear to be. This is the first principle of mental untouchability. Control the frame, or the frame controls you. Most people react to life. Someone criticizes them, they defend. Someone praises them, they glow. Someone ignores them, they panic. They're like puppets, and everyone else is holding the strings. But here's the shift. The moment you realize that perception is a game, you stop being a piece on the board. You become a player. Now, this doesn't mean lying. It doesn't mean being fake. It means understanding that people don't see you. They see their version of you. And that version is shaped by how you show up, what you reveal, what you withhold, and what you allow them to project onto you. Think about it. The most powerful people you know, they're not loud. They're not trying to prove anything. They don't over-explain. They don't justify their choices to people who didn't ask. They just are. And somehow, everyone respects them. Why? Because they control the perception. They understand that image is not vanity, it's strategy. They know that how you're perceived determines how you're treated, and how you're treated determines what opportunities come your way. This is not manipulation. This is awareness. You can't control what people think, but you can control what they see. You can control what you give them to work with. You can control the narrative, not through lies, but through selective truth. And once you do, you become untouchable. Because people can't use what they don't know. They can't manipulate what they can't predict. They can't control what they don't understand. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves, their insecurities, their status, their survival. You're just a character in their story, a mirror they use to feel better or worse about their own lives. When someone criticizes you, they're not really seeing you. They're seeing their own fear of being criticized. When someone tries to control you, they're not really trying to control you. They're trying to control their own anxiety. When someone judges you, they're not really judging you. They're projecting their own shame. Machiavelli understood this. He said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves." Translation: be smart enough to see manipulation, and strong enough not to react to it. This is strategic detachment, not coldness, not cruelty. Just the ability to observe without absorbing. When someone insults you, they're not attacking you. They're revealing their own pain. When someone manipulates you, they're not outsmarting you. They're showing you who they are. When someone tries to make you feel small, they're not succeeding. They're advertising their own insecurity. The moment you stop taking things personally, you gain clarity. And clarity is the first layer of untouchability. You stop wasting energy defending yourself to people who never intended to understand you. You stop needing to be right in arguments that don't matter. You stop playing games you didn't even know you were in. You just see. And when you see clearly, you move differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. You stop explaining yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you. You stop arguing with people who aren't listening. You stop trying to convince people who have already made up their minds. You just observe. You gather information. You make decisions based on what people do, not what they say. This is power. Machiavelli also said, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." But here's the modern translation. Never use 10 words when silence will do. Silence is the most underrated power move in existence. When you stop explaining, stop defending, stop trying to make people understand, something shifts. People start projecting, they start assuming, and in that space you gain leverage. This isn't about being manipulative. It's about understanding that words are cheap and silence is expensive. Most people can't handle it. They fill the void with nervousness, with assumptions, with revealing more than they should. Think about the last argument you had. How much did you say? How much did you explain? How much did you defend? Now imagine if you had just stayed silent. Just let the other person talk. Just observed what they revealed about themselves when they thought they were attacking you. You would have learned everything you needed to know. Their insecurities, their tactics, their weaknesses. But you just listen. You watch. You learn. And in that stillness, you become dangerous, not to others, to illusion, because silence forces truth to the surface. Silence reveals who's pretending, who's projecting, who's afraid. And once you see that, you can't be fooled. Silence also protects you, because the less you say, the less can be used against you. The less you reveal, the less can be weaponized. The less you react, the less control others have. This is not about being cold or distant. It's about being strategic. It's about understanding that your words are currency, and most conversations aren't worth the spend. Machiavelli once watched a man lose everything, not because he was weak, but because he believed the world was fair. That man kept waiting for justice, kept waiting for people to do the right thing, kept believing that truth would eventually prevail. And while he waited, others simply moved. They made alliances. They positioned themselves. They played the game he refused to acknowledge. And when he finally woke up, it was too late. His reputation was gone. His position was taken. His influence was transferred. Not because he was bad at his job, but because he was blind to the game. Don't be that man. This is the first step. See the game. Understand that life is not fair, but it is predictable. People operate on patterns, survival patterns, status patterns, ego patterns. Learn the patterns, and you become untouchable. Not because you're manipulating anyone, but because you can't be manipulated. You see the trap before you step in it. You see the game before you're played. You see the move before it's made. This is clarity. This is power. This is the foundation. Pause for a second. Think about the last time someone made you feel small. The last time you defended yourself, explained yourself, tried to make someone understand. Now imagine if you had just said nothing. Stayed calm. Let them reveal themselves. How would that have changed things? What would you have learned? What would you have protected? You've probably done this too, without even realizing it. Reacted when you should have observed. Spoke when you should have listened. Defended when you should have simply walked away. But now you see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Take a breath. This isn't about being perfect. It's about seeing clearly. It's about building awareness, one layer at a time. But seeing the game is only the first step. Because even if you see every trap, every manipulation, every game being played, there's still one enemy you can't escape. Yourself. The real battle is inside you. Let's keep building. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Let me translate. The parts of yourself you refuse to look at are controlling you. Right now. Today. In ways you don't even realize. You think you're afraid of failure. You're not. You're afraid of being exposed as a fraud. You think you're afraid of rejection. You're not. You're afraid of confirming what you secretly believe. That you're not enough. You think you're angry at that person who wronged you. You're not. You're angry at yourself for allowing it. You think you're sad about what you lost. You're not. You're grieving the version of yourself who believed things would be different. This is the shadow. The part of you that you've been taught to hide. The anger, the pride, the selfishness, the jealousy, the hunger for power, the need for control, the darkness. And here's the twist. The more you run from it, the stronger it gets. You know this already. Every time you explode in anger over something small, it's the shadow. Every time you sabotage yourself right before success, it's the shadow. Every time you feel that deep, unexplainable shame that makes you want to hide, it's the shadow knocking. Every time you overreact, over-explain, or over-apologize, the shadow is in control. Every time you people-please, self-sabotage, or stay in situations that hurt you, the shadow is running the show. But what if I told you that the shadow isn't your enemy? What if it's the key to becoming untouchable? Because here's the truth. You can't outrun yourself. You can only integrate yourself. And integration is the only path to real freedom. Jung didn't say, be a good person. He said, be a whole person. And wholeness means embracing the parts of you that scare you. The parts you've been taught to reject. The parts that don't fit the image you're trying to maintain. Think about the people you admire. The ones who seem fearless. The ones who don't apologize for who they are. The ones who have a presence that you can't quite explain. What do they have that you don't? They've made peace with their darkness. They're not nice all the time. They're not trying to please everyone. They're not performing goodness for an audience. They've accepted that they're selfish sometimes, that they're angry sometimes, that they want power, control, recognition. And because they've accepted it, it doesn't control them. This is the paradox. The more you deny your shadow, the more it runs your life. But the moment you turn and face it, it becomes fuel. Your anger, that's your boundary setting on fire. It's your self-respect screaming that something is wrong. Your pride, that's your self-worth demanding to be acknowledged. Your desire for power, that's your potential begging to be unleashed. The shadow isn't the problem. Ignoring it is. So how do you integrate the shadow? How do you turn the enemy inside into an ally? First, you stop pretending. You stop saying, "I'm not like that," because you are. You're selfish, you're jealous, you're vengeful, you're manipulative. We all are. Every single human on this planet has darkness inside them. The difference between the people who stay stuck and the people who become untouchable is simple. The ones who become untouchable admit it. They stop performing. They stop hiding. They stop pretending they're something they're not. Write it down. Every dark thought you've ever had, every impulse you've suppressed, every time you smiled when you wanted to scream, every time you said yes when you meant no, every time you played small when you wanted to dominate. Don't judge it. Don't shame it. Don't try to fix it yet. Just see it. Because you can't integrate what you won't acknowledge. You can't heal what you won't feel. You can't transform what you refuse to face. Second, you ask, what is this teaching me? What is this protecting? Your anger? Maybe it's telling you to stop letting people walk over you. Maybe it's showing you where your boundaries have been violated. Your jealousy? Maybe it's revealing what you really want, what you've been too afraid to pursue. Your fear? Maybe it's pointing to exactly where you need to grow. The shadow is not random. It's not meaningless. It's a messenger from the parts of yourself that have been silenced. And once you stop shooting the messenger, you start getting the message. Your rage isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect you. Your shame isn't trying to break you. It's trying to show you where you abandoned yourself. Your fear isn't trying to stop you. It's trying to prepare you. Third, you channel it. You don't suppress the shadow. You don't indulge it either. You use it. You're angry? Channel it into discipline, into boundaries, into the refusal to accept less than you deserve. You're proud? Channel it into excellence, into craftsmanship, into becoming someone worth being proud of. You're hungry for power? Channel it into mastery, into building something that can't be taken from you. This is integration, not denial, not indulgence. Integration. And once you integrate the shadow, something beautiful happens. You stop being afraid of yourself. You stop worrying about what might come out if you lose control, because you're not trying to control it anymore. You're working with it. You stop fearing your anger because you know it's just energy. You stop fearing your darkness because you know it's just information. You stop fearing your shadow because you know it's just you. Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." This is the second step of untouchability. You stop running from your past, your trauma, your mistakes, your darkness. You turn and face it. And when you do, you realize something profound. It was never trying to destroy you. It was trying to forge you. Every wound you carry, that's a lesson in empathy. You know what it feels like to be hurt, so you know how to heal. Every betrayal, that's a lesson in discernment. You know what manipulation looks like now. You won't fall for it again. Every failure, that's a lesson in resilience. You know you can survive the fall, so you're no longer afraid to jump. The people who break you don't realize they're building you. And the parts of you that you hate, they're not weaknesses, they're raw materials. This is why some people become untouchable after trauma. They didn't avoid the pain. They didn't numb it. They didn't pretend it didn't happen. They integrated it. They alchemized it. They turned the wound into wisdom. And now no one can use it against them, because they've already faced it. You can't shame someone who's already looked at their shame. You can't manipulate someone who's already integrated their shadow. You can't break someone who's already put themselves back together. This is the power of wholeness. There's a story Jung tells about a patient who came to him terrified of his own rage. This man had suppressed his anger his entire life. Decades of swallowing his truth. Decades of saying yes when he meant no. Decades of smiling through disrespect. He was afraid that if he ever let the rage out, he'd hurt someone. He'd destroy everything. He'd become a monster. Jung didn't tell him to suppress it more. He didn't tell him to meditate it away or think positive thoughts. He told him to sit with it, to listen to it, to understand what it was protecting. And you know what they found? The rage wasn't violence. It was self-respect that had been silenced for decades. It was dignity that had been trampled. It was truth that had been swallowed. The moment the man faced it, integrated it, owned it, he became one of the calmest people Jung ever knew. Not because he killed the monster, because he made peace with it. Because he realized the monster was just him, trying to protect him, trying to speak for him, trying to save him. You've probably felt it. That dark part of you that you don't talk about. The rage, the jealousy, the hunger. The part that wants to win, to dominate, to be recognized. What if you stopped judging it? What if you just listened to it? What would it tell you? You're not broken. You're not a monster. You're just human. And the moment you accept that, all of that, you become powerful. But integration without discipline is chaos. You can see the game. You can face your shadow. But if you can't control your mind, you'll still be a slave. You need the final piece. Let's finish this. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the final step. The discipline. You've learned to see the game. You've integrated the shadow. Now you need to build the fortress, the mind that holds it all together. Because here's the truth. Life will test you. People will betray you. Plans will fail. Loss will come. Pain will arrive uninvited. And in those moments, the only thing you control is how you respond. Not what happens, not what people think, not what you lose, not even how you feel, but how you respond. This is the Stoic discipline. The ability to pause between stimulus and response. The ability to feel everything and be controlled by nothing. Most people are slaves to their emotions. Something happens, they react. Someone says something, they spiral. They lose a job, they lose themselves. A relationship ends, their identity ends. Someone disrespects them, they crumble. They're at the mercy of the external world. And because they're at the mercy of the external, they're never free. But you're building something different. You're building the ability to stand in the fire and not burn. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was born a slave and died a free man, said, "Some things are within our control, and some are not." Simple, profound, life-changing. What's in your control? Your thoughts, your actions, your responses, your effort, your integrity, your discipline, your focus, your standards. What's not in your control? Everything else. Other people, outcomes, the past, the future, what people think of you, what they say about you, how they treat you, whether they stay or leave. And here's the shift. The moment you stop trying to control what you can't, you gain infinite power over what you can. You stop wasting energy trying to change people who don't want to change. You stop replaying the past trying to rewrite it. You stop obsessing over outcomes you can't guarantee. You stop worrying about opinions from people who don't matter. You just focus on the input, your discipline, your clarity, your action, your response. And when you do that, something miraculous happens. You become unstoppable. Not because you control everything, but because nothing controls you. This is the essence of mental untouchability. You stop fighting reality. You start working with it. The Stoics had a practice called negative visualization. They would sit quietly and imagine losing everything, their wealth gone, their status destroyed, their health failing, their loved ones taken. Sounds dark, right? Sounds depressing. But here's why they did it. To remove the fear. Because once you've mentally prepared for the worst loses its power over you. You're not being pessimistic. You're being strategic. You're training your mind to stay calm in chaos, to stay clear in crisis, to function when everything falls apart. Think about it. What are you afraid of? Failure, rejection, loss, humiliation, death? Now imagine it happens. Really imagine it. You fail publicly. You're rejected by everyone you care about. You lose everything you've built. You're humiliated in front of the people you wanted to impress. Now what? Do you die? No. Do you disappear? No. Do you cease to exist? No. You adapt. You rebuild. You learn. You evolve. You keep going. And suddenly, the fear shrinks. Because you've already faced it. You've already survived it in your mind. And if you can survive it in your mind, you can survive it in reality. This is the final layer of untouchability. You stop being afraid of outcomes. Because you know that no matter what happens, you'll handle it. Not because you're invincible, but because you're disciplined. Not because you're fearless, but because you've already faced the fear. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Beautiful, right? But he also wrote this, "Begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. Both. Not one or the other. Both. This is the Stoic discipline. You appreciate life, but you prepare for reality. You're grateful, but you're not naive. You love deeply, but you don't attach your peace to what you can't control. And you practice. Every single day. Every morning you remind yourself, I control my mind. I control my response. I control my effort. Nothing else. Every evening, you reflect. Where did I lose control today? Where did I react instead of respond? Where did I let the external world dictate my internal state? Where can I improve? This isn't perfection. It's practice. And over time, the practice becomes the person. You become the person who doesn't panic under pressure. The person who doesn't crumble in chaos. The person who stays calm when everyone else is losing their mind. Not because you're special, but because you trained for it. Not because you're better, but because you prepared. The mind is like a muscle. You don't build strength by avoiding weight. You build it by consistently challenging it. Same with mental untouchability. You don't build it by avoiding difficulty. You build it by training yourself to stay centered in the middle of it. This is the work. This is the practice. This is the path. So here we are. 3 masters. 3 principles. 1 framework. Machiavelli taught you to see the game. To understand that power is not about force. It's about perception and clarity. To know that the world operates on patterns, not on fairness. To realize that silence is stronger than explanation, and observation is more powerful than reaction. Jung taught you to face your shadow, to stop running from the darkness and start integrating it into your strength. To understand that wholeness is more important than goodness. To realize that the parts of you that you reject are the parts that control you, and the parts you accept become fuel. And the Stoics taught you to discipline the mind, to control what you can, release what you can't, and train yourself to be unshakable. To understand that freedom is not about controlling the external, it's about mastering the internal. This is how you become mentally untouchable, not by avoiding life, not by numbing yourself, not by pretending you don't feel, but by building a mind so clear, so integrated, so disciplined, that nothing can shake it. Your past, it's fuel now. Other people's opinions, irrelevant. Your fears, you've already faced them. Your shadow, you've already integrated it. Your mind, you've already trained it. You're not cold, you're not heartless, you're not disconnected. You're just free. Free to think clearly, free to act powerfully, free to live fully, free to feel everything without being controlled by anything. And that's the secret they never told you. You were always free. You just had to build the mind strong enough to hold it. If this resonated with you, if you see the pattern now, do me one favor. Comment the word untouchable below. Let me know you're building this with me. And if you want more frameworks like this, philosophy that actually changes how you think and live. Subscribe. Not to follow, but to remember. Because the world will try to make you forget. It will pull you back into reaction, into fear, into the game. It will tell you that this is too hard, too much, too extreme. But you're different now. You're awake. And once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep. Once you see the game, you can't unsee it. Once you face your shadow, you can't ignore it. Once you train your mind, you can't untrain it. This is irreversible. This is transformation. This is freedom. Let's build.